right, guys, here we are. Tyler, is it Galen?
Galyen.
Galyen, okay.
Yep.
He is up in Villa Grove, Illinois, got his own business rolling now for what, 3 years now, wife and kids, and I have been following him on Facebook a little bit now, and I see like all this positive stuff he's rolling out with, and so I'm like, I gotta hear this guy's story. And so as we got on here and we were talking, so he's been, not self-employed, but he worked for the man for a while, and he realized, enough's enough. Time to take some action. And so as we're talking here, I'm like, dude, this is incredible stuff. Like, guys need to hear this, because this is the transition period I think a lot of guys get stuck in, of believing in themselves and taking that action. So Tyler, introduce yourself. How many, and I didn't ask you, how many kids do you have?
We've got 3 kids.
3 kids.
Two boys and one little two boys, one little girl. We've been married for about 11 years now. So
nice.
We got married young, and it's been history since then. It's been great, but we've had our ups and downs, and we've made it so far.
That's awesome. Now jump into this story about how you were moved out to Kansas and started this little side gig. And because I didn't realize, whenever I looked at your Facebook profile, I just thought the guy was from Kansas. I didn't know you were from north of Bloomington. But I mean, that's cool that just to share a little bit about your story. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so basically I moved down here, started a construction, working for construction business, and the economy kind of hit a downturn. And so I had an opportunity. Cat presented me with an opportunity to go out there and be a robot programmer and CNC.
And what year was this?
This was in 2008.
2008.
Yep. So we had moved out there, stayed out there for a couple of years, and that's kind of where I started the business. And it was nothing like what it is today. It was all geared around the rancher, the farmer. And we moved back to Illinois. I'd kind of brought the business back. I had a partner in on it, and we had kind of decided to he's a great guy. Still help him out to this day. We're good friends, but we kind of moved back. I decided to take the business with me and got back, and I'm like, what am I going to do with a ranching business in Illinois? It's like no cattle, no horses, nothing.
Yeah.
And so I went back to work for a construction company, and part-time I was helping the Amish out, and that's kind of where the buildings come in place. I've been servicing them, building buildings for them, hauling for them. Taking parts and lumber to hotels and stuff. And I was working a job. I was miserable at my job. And if there's one thing that I hope that anyone takes out of this today, is that I was no different than any person listening to this story today. I was an average guy. I didn't come from, money. I had a great family, a great mom and dad that took care of us, but it was the white picket fence, nice house, 2.5 kids, little dog. It was the basic average. You see a lot of these guys and they have a story. Oh, I come from, my dad died, or we come from a bad transition, and it gives them that motivation to get there. I didn't have that. I didn't have no epic story. There's nothing, there's no silver lining story behind it. I just had, it came to a point at work, I was just sick and tired of what was going on, and got tired of being the person I was, and I decided to make a change.
I love that you say that because I feel like I'm the same way. I didn't have anything that necessarily happened in my life, but I knew I wanted change. I knew I wanted bigger. I wanted better. I didn't want, and average is fine. But also the average that I was living was almost what society would consider normal. It was and you work construction, so the conversations that go on around a construction site, and just working with dudes all the time. Like, those conversations can be so pointless and meaningless, and it's just like, gosh, this is, because I was doing the same thing. I was reiterating old, like, sitting around the tavern talking about our old stories, and you and I are a lot alike. We decided to make that change. Whenever you decided to make that change, what was the biggest stepping stone? Like, what happened?
Well, I think it was, the biggest thing for me was changing the mindset, and instead of going to work, going there complaining with the guys, because I was, anyone that's going to listen to this is probably going to say, yeah, that dude was one of the biggest complainers about life, work, everything else. And I just got to the point where I had changed that mindset. You know, I came across, it was a sermon by T.D. Jakes, and it talked about it kind of gave the comparison between a chicken and an eagle, you know, and I love that. If you haven't heard that sermon, go listen to it. It's great. But he talks about, you know, just kind of chickens are normal people. Eagles are the people that soar above the storm. You know, you've got chickens pecking at you all the time, but you know, a chicken can't fly where an eagle's at, you know, and I had to change that mindset with myself to get to the point where I had to start thinking like an eagle, you know, and I had to get to the point in life where I needed to soar above that and quit cackling with the chickens. And because it was taking me down, you know, negative. I was in the same boat everyone was. I hated my job. I hated my life. I hated waking up. You know, I'd hit the snooze button 15 frickin' times because I knew the same routine was happening every day. I got tired of it.
Yes, sir.
You
so
know,
when you decided to make that change and you realized it was a mindset shift, what were some of the small things you started doing to take action towards it? Because it's not, and maybe it was, but usually these things don't happen overnight. Like it takes time. You can't change that mindset just, you know, like that, because you, like you said, I still have to go to work. I'm still going to be around these people. I'm still going to be doing the same routine. Like, what were some small steps you took to like just change all that?
The biggest thing, and I think a lot of people see on my Facebook and they see, you know, these quotes that I'm putting out there, and that's not necessarily for the public. You know, those are quotes I tell myself every day, and that was the first habit I changed. I quit centering myself, listening to negative crap. You know, I used to listen to politics and podcasts like that, and I just changed that dynamic. Instead of listening to something negative, you know, the news and the media is feeding you with negativity every day. They don't want you to succeed.
No, they don't. You're right.
And so all these quotes and stuff that I put out there, they're not necessarily, if someone gets something out of it, I love it, because it makes me understand that people are in the same boat that I was in, you know. But my first thing was going to work, driving to that same job every day. I'd turn on a Les Brown, you know, motivational speech, or an Eric Thomas motivational speech. You know, you just get the chills going to work. And then when you get to work, I quit centering myself around that negativity. You know, that they'd be in the corner of the shop talking, or we'd be out on the job site waiting on a truck, and everyone's wanting to talk about what someone did at the bar or what. And I'd walk away from it, you know, because I didn't want to keep feeding myself with that negativity. I just got tired of it.
And, you know, you make some great points there, but I think too, a lot of guys struggle with that because we want to fit in. We want to be part of something bigger. But like you said, you know, when it's that type of stuff, oh, what happened at the bar the other night, or who are you hooking up with, or, you know, any of those things, it's like, man, those stories and they can be fun at times. But like you said, if you're understanding the fact that it's bringing you down, like you don't want this, you know, doing those little things, listening to a podcast that maybe it's only 10, 15 minutes here or there, but those little things, like you said, you know, it's getting into my brain. It's changing my thought process, but it just takes a little time. And, you know, I'm sure there's other habits you started changing too with that. But then how did you transition from going to the job to moving into your full-time business? And what is the full-time business?
Yeah, it is. The biggest thing was, like I said, I changed my habits of being more motivational, bringing that stuff in. I would journal every morning. You know, that was a good thing to do for myself. And I also, you know, I know I'll get to the point kind of the business, but one of the greatest things I ever did for myself was I wrote down my ideal life. You know, what do I want that to look like? And then I engraved it in my brain. I'd reread that every morning, every night, you know, and it's changed. It's changed through time. It's changed through situations, but the end goal has never changed of where I want to be. And once I engrave that in my brain and I'm reading that every day and I'm looking at that every day, I start making decisions and I start changing things in my life to get to that point. You know, if I know, you know, my dream is to own a ranch, have a lot of acreage, have a lot of cattle, and have that financial freedom that I could just walk out there and ride my horse every day and not have to worry about a debt collector coming for something, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind of sparked the interest to get me to the point where, I mean, when I started my business, dude, I had $1,000 in my account and I had a $1,500 check coming, $2,500 to start a business on. You know, and everyone says, oh, you got to have money. You got to have this. Dude, $2,500 is how I started my business.
Yes. I love that.
I had one paycheck coming because when I quit, I had a following paycheck coming in, and that I had to make a decision then. Listen, you got basically 2 weeks to run off of, or you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was the fear.
Stuff.
Well, yeah, I think it was just the fear of, you know, my wife didn't believe it. She was comfortable. She was complacent with, I mean, we were horrible with money. Horrible. Yeah. You know, we knew every week we were going to get a $1,500 paycheck, and we were good with that.
Yeah.
You know, and when I changed that, I know it scared her to do that, but if there's one thing I can say too, it's not that hard to go out on your own and make $1,000 a week. $1,000 to now, it seems like, you know, that's shoot. You know, that's nothing now to what you know, where we're at, but $1,000 isn't that much. And I think most Americans can live off of $1,000 a week. You know, first thing I started out, I bought a truck, started hauling for the Amish. And in my first month, I think my first paycheck from owning the truck, hauling lumber and stuff, I think, so the 2 weeks had gone by. That following week, I got a check for $3,500.
It was all history after that, wasn't it?
And then we were kind of averaging around that $5,000 to $7,000 a week every week after that. And I'm like, you know, at that time, I'm like, we've made it, honey. You know? You know, there was a lot more to it. Then the pitfalls started coming, and then the truck started breaking down and everything else. I mean, it's not all glory, but what I'm trying to say is that it can be done. You know, every situation we came into with our business, you know, everyone fears that, you know, what if I go bankrupt? What if I, you know, collapse? We've made it through every situation, every truck breakdown, every time the shop has been down or we've been out of lumber or checks aren't clearing. We've made it through it. You know, it's not that hard, you know.
And, you know, you make such a good point that it's not that hard. You know, you probably have a lot ever since. So I've been self-employed this is the 11th year. And you know how many people over 11 years have said, well, you need to start this business or you need to do this. I'm like, well, why don't you do it? Because it's not that hard. Like you said, like you said, you know, when you planned out your ideal life and then you can go back and you can reverse engineer it to, okay, these are the steps I need to start taking today to get to this lifestyle that I want. Dude, it's so much easier. And like you said, $1,000 a week, it's not that difficult. You know, I had a guy at the gym that I go to, and he's talking about starting his own business. I said, well, here's what I'm going to do this week. I'm just going to go around my house, and I'm going to sell some stuff and make $1,000. Or I said my goal is to make $500. And I think I put some stuff on Marketplace. We sold like $1,200 worth of stuff in like 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you know, we got so much stuff we don't use. People can make money. People can earn money doing whatever they want, flipping stuff, but like you said, taking that action. I love what you said earlier about Dave Ramsey. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Oh, yeah. You do.
It's just, oh, my gosh. And, you know, we had mentioned before, just having that belief in yourself. You know, when things do go wrong, how do you maintain the belief or the motivation to stay focused on different stuff?
I think a lot of it, too, people, you know, you hear, so as I got into listening more of that, you know, the uplifting motivation, you know, and you always hear the common phrase is do something you'll love and you'll never work another day in your life. That's such bull crap, you know, because I'm doing what I love and it's tough, you know, but I had to get to that point in life where I realized I'm never taking focus off the end goal. You know, that's what I want to do. That's what's going to make me happy. That's what I want to do and love to do. But this is the steps I've got to take to get to that point. And it's not all sunshines and roses every day. You know, it sucks. Yeah. You know, business is tough. I mean, when I got into business, dude, I had to learn about filing for DOT and getting portion plates and IFTA and payroll and, you know, workers' comp. I didn't know that going into it, but I've made it through it and I've done it all myself, you know.
Yep.
You take the time, instead of me going in there for 2 hours watching the TV with the wife and just chilling out like I would, I'd come home from work, I'd be so exhausted. I owe myself to go sit in there and watch TV. No, you don't.
Yes.
You know, you
Yes.
you owe yourself and your family a better life than that. You know, instead of going in there and sitting on the couch for 2 hours scrolling on Facebook, I'd come in here for 2 hours and I'd learn how to, okay, I don't know how to file a DOT number. You know, that was the first thing I had to do. It took me 2, 3 hours to get it figured out. I'm calling people from the state. You know, it's the willingness to try and learn those things and educate yourself. Most of the time, people don't get to where they want to go because they don't know how to do it. You got to take that action step in learning, you know.
Yeah. And you make a great point. How are we supposed to know what to do if we don't even know how to look for it or where to find it? You know, we have to, and even there's some things now in my business where I'm like, how come I haven't been doing it like that? It's like, because you didn't know, you didn't even look for something else. But as you talk about creating the ideal life, for the last 9 years, I ran my business basically as owner operator. And I realized now, it took me a long time to understand even my priorities. Like we had talked about, most self-employed people, 90% of those have a dependency issue, whether it be drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is. And so I had kind of fallen into that category with some stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm tired of this. So I got my priorities straight. So my life's now great. So now this year we're really focusing on growth. And I'm like, dude, why haven't I been doing this years ago? Like this business model is set up for success. Like now I just have to learn these things I don't know for whatever reason. But then we should skyrocket, I assume.
Oh yeah.
I've always been comfortable with just the money we were earning was just, we always made enough money. We made a lot. I mean, I don't know what a lot is, but we lived comfortably.
Oh yeah.
But oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the problem I think a lot of people get in. I was in the same boat. You get so comfortable and complacent, you don't realize how bad it really is. You know, and I listened to a lot of Robert Kiyosaki, and the one thing that kind of helped me change my mindset with life, listen, if I'm never bagging on anyone that wants to get a union job. I had a union job. I made good money. There are people that are happy, but what could you improve at that job? If you're going to stay there and you're going to work for the man, what's ideals and principles you can live by to help improve yourself? Because Robert Kiyosaki talks about there's 3 types of income. There's the earned income where a man writes me a check. There's passive income, and then there's income from stocks, bonds, and that kind of stuff. Well, the one thing that I would want people to understand too is, even if you're sticking with that job and you're staying there and you're like, dude, I don't need the dream life, I'm living the dream. There's plenty of people out there. Dude, own it.
Yep.
Love it, but grow in it every day. You're the person who's going to work and working for a union or working for the man, you're paying the most in taxes. Your income, America thrives off you. Because here's one thing that I've learned in business. There's so many loopholes in business that I can write stuff off. I can get around stuff. It's not evil. It's not trickery. I'm playing their chess game.
Yeah, they're the ones that made the rules.
Yeah, I'm playing by them. And that's the hard part where I got to, was like, you know what? I can go out there and earn all this money, and then the tax man's taking all of it. Or I can go out there and I can earn an income for myself, and I can keep all of it. And I can take that. I can pay my kids. I can pay my wife. I can set up sacred accounts in my own retirements, and I don't have to worry about any of that. And let me tell you something. It's all tax free.
It's all tax free. Yes.
And that's the thing that I hope, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm not bagging on anyone that goes and gets a job. If you love it, own it, but improve yourself, work on yourself every day. Quit coming home and playing on the phone or watching TV. Take that income. There's ways even union people or people that have a job could set up their own LLC, still going to work and still have write-offs and get out of paying taxes. It's your money. We've seen what the government does with your money.
Exactly. Dude, that's great stuff. So in your day-to-day life, like, do you have I assume you have habits and routines you stick to? Like, do you have a morning habit that you go to every day?
Yeah, my biggest thing, I like to get up before kind of the wife and kids get up, and that's kind of my me time, my quiet time. I used to try doing it, when everyone was getting up, we'd have our coffee, and then I'd come in here, and then it was just chaos, and I was frustrated. And,
Yeah,
my biggest thing, like I said, day one, soon as I wake up, I come down, have my coffee, and I review my dream. I read it every day.
that's awesome.
Like I said, I promise you, when you read that every day and it becomes a storybook in your head, you're going to do and act on that. And the decisions you make through your day are going to be based on that. And then, obviously scripture is a big part of my life. I like to read some scripture in the morning, do my journaling, kind of get my day right. And then I kind of start planning for my business. And one thing that I'm kind of been really focused on, and I did end up getting a mentor, believe it or not, because I was just at a point in my life where it's like, okay, I'm here, but yet I'm stuck.
Yeah. Yep.
I know what I need to do, but I don't have that roadmap to kind of keep moving forward. Because I think every person, once they get in their business, they get to a certain point and they're like, okay, is this it? Have I grown all I can? Have I,
Exactly.
what's the next step? So I review that roadmap kind of every day for my business. I've also written, kind of a dream for my business also, and I review that every day. And then the decisions that I make action points and targets that I want to hit for that, because the hard part for me being a construction worker or growing up to where I'm working with my hands every day, it was a change for me to come in and sit at the computer, and these guys are out there building sheds and I'm in here, staring at a computer screen. It just didn't feel right. But what I've learned is my most valuable place in life is growing my business. I write out my target points for the business, and I follow those actions every day. What can help grow the business? How can I reach more people? How can I change people's lives? And contacts, can I meet a guy? Lumber's horrible right now. Can I call up lumber companies and make a deal with them? That's what helps me grow my business.
That's awesome.
Those targets and those things I kind of lay out every morning, and I live by them, just getting on that routine, because my routine used to be hit the snooze button 15 times, wake up, smoke a couple cigarettes, drive to work, be pissed off, come home, sit down on the couch. I had to change that,
But you just laid out, I don't even know what percentage, probably 80% of men's lives right there. That's what we do. And I think that, that's one of the reasons I wanted to start Structure is to talk to guys like you on here that are the same. You're the same exact dude as the other people going to their jobs today, but you decided to make a change. You decided, I'm tired of this. I want more out of life, because we only get one life to live.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be stuck and miserable. Like, it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't fair to my family the way that I would treat them. So I had to change.
Yeah.
So, if you could go back like when you're 21, what would you do differently?
Oh,
how old are you now? 30? What are you now?
32.
32.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot. I think the biggest thing that I would change would be, one, I would have changed the people I hung around with. Listen, I grew up with a great group of friends. They're still great guys, but they didn't have the mindset that I wanted to get to. I wish I did. There was a good group of guys that I hung around with. Their dad were business owners, and it's kind of like the rich dad, poor dad book.
Yep.
Those guys kind of helped shape me. But I wish I would have clung on to them more instead of going to the bar, instead of doing rodeos, instead of that kind of stuff. I wish I would have been. You don't think about the actions then, And my dad always told me, son, you got to think about it, because every consequence or every action has consequences.
Yeah.
You don't think about that.
No.
I wish I would have focused more on me and self-education. I was going to school. I didn't do good in school. I was an okay guy, but, I was an average student. Dude, like I said, I am the epitome of average,
Yep.
And I just I'd like to have told myself, listen, dream big, reach for the stars. You only got one life to live. I wish I would have made all those mistakes when I was 21 instead of now at 32. Because, dude, if I would have done it then instead of now, I'd have been way further along,
Oh, for sure. For sure.
you
I
know,
think,
you,
we all would have. It's interesting to go back and look and ask people this question. It's the same thing. Like, and for me personally, like, I wasn't even that mature. Even when I was 26, I was still doing dumb stuff. 30,
oh yeah,
still doing dumb stuff. And I'm like, why am I'm like a late bloomer or something? It's taking me a little bit longer, but now I'm like, okay, now I've got, at 30, what am I now? 37. I'm like, you got half your life to live it the other way now. So just do it,
yeah.
So it's all good.
And I think a lot of young kids that I've seen, I've been trying to kind of help mentor some too, but I think a lot of them young kids is they're so lost. One thing, I grew up in a family. My dad, well, he still is a Marine. If I would say he's not a Marine, he'd probably
Yeah.
tell me that I was wrong. But, and my mom had OCD. So it was structure and order in our family, and I was always a dreamer. And the hard part for me was dad was always stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. The one thing I'm changing for my kids is try it. If like
Yes.
my son got an idea to build birdhouses because he's out in the shop with these Amish guys all day long and he wants to build and sell birdhouse. Try it, dude. My
Yeah.
dad would have said, well, that ain't gonna make no money. Don't ever try it. Try it,
Yes.
because you can make mistake after mistake after mistake and you can learn something out of it, and that's where the growth happens.
Yeah.
It's making those mistakes and learning from them and taking the chance to do it.
And that's
You have
cool
an
too.
idea for business, try it.
Yes. Just, you're not going to know if something's going to work or not if you don't try it. I'm working on some stuff now that I've got a virtual assistant. He's like, here's the deal. You don't know the price point. You don't know if people are going to sign up for this. You don't have any idea. Just throw some stuff against the wall and see what sticks. And I'm like, that's kind of how I've always done life. And, thinking about how you're raising your kids or how I'm raising my kids, like I was kind of the same way. Like I was always a dreamer, but now I see my kids and I'm like, yes, like I was highly involved in sports. I love sports. Sports, I think I built a lot of relationships. Even now, as I'm older, I'm still have relationships with people I played sports with. But if my
Yeah.
kids don't want to play sports, I'm like, that's fine. But let's start thinking differently as far as entrepreneurialism and what are the steps we're going to take at a. My wife just told me, what was it? So she sells makeup online, and it's like a network marketing type deal. But there was this girl just turned 21, and she's making like 100 grand a month at 21 years old because she started doing these things when she was young. And I'm like, we need, not that money's everything, but also, if you have a little bit of it, you don't have to worry as much.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I'm like, I think that you're doing a great thing teaching your kids this way. And I think that we're doing the same thing. But we as fathers need to be there and more supportive for our kids. And yeah, just try it. Let's see, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Well, and that's the biggest thing. I think so many people get hung up in the pitfalls of the consequences or the bad part of it, and they don't focus on the good that can come from it. Like I said, dude, when I started this business, I'm like, oh shoot, $2,500. How am I going to make it? How am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to make the mortgage payment? And it works. It happens. At the end of the day, if it doesn't, and they come for the house and they come for everything, I have structured our family to where we're still all going to love each other and we're still all going to make it work. You
Yeah.
can come for the house, you can come for the materials, take it, because that's not what my goal is.
Yep.
But I think if it would have happened in the beginning, my attitude probably would have been different. But changing that attitude in life and realizing, dude, the worst thing in life is death, and if it ain't going to kill me, I'm going to try it.
Yeah. And how often do we get caught up worrying about what other people think? Like, I don't want to do that because what if I fail and these guys, think differently of me? I remember I had a business that wasn't even necessarily a business, but when I had randomly quit a job one time, like, I don't know what to do. So I went and made some flyers that just said, I will clean your windows. And I
Yeah.
did it. I did it all summer, made decent money. I was averaging like $30 an hour. And at the end of it, I actually got a real job after that. But this guy's like, oh, yeah, you failed at that business. What else are you going to fail at? And that's,
Yeah.
I'm like, you asshole. Like, I'm never going to fail anymore, but I'm also not scared to try. I'll throw that stuff against the wall and see what sticks,
Well, and that was the big thing for me too, because I was, like I said, and that was the one thing I think my dad saw in me too. I would kind of float and go from different things, but I was trying to find what worked for me, you know, and I needed that, you know, and when I quit my job, my last job, my boss told me, he goes, dude, I'm going to tell you this. He said, you're never going to make it. And he said, I don't care if you're making $250,000 a year. He said, you're never going to be happy, you know, and it kind of hurt at the time, because then going into business, that's in the back of my mind, dude, I'm going to screw up, fail, you know, and when I shifted my focus and quit worrying about, you know, I love my dad to death and I love my old boss and everything else. But when I quit focusing on that negative mindset of you're not going to make it, my whole life changed, you know.
Yes.
It was like someone flipped the light.
It's not, you know, you realize it's not about the money. Yeah, if I make 250 grand, it's great. But also that money's not going to define who I am as a person. I've internally changed and my life's good regardless. Whether it's 50 grand or 250 grand, I don't care.
Well, and I did. I will be upfront and honest. When I first went into business, I did it for the money. You know,
I mean, I think we all kind of do, don't we?
Yeah. I started out, you know, and you're working for someone and you're seeing the owner of the company. He's going to Florida. He's going to Honolulu. He's getting all these things. And that's what the business was for me when I first started. It was like, oh, dude, I want that.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to go. And it wasn't about the money at the time, you know, in my uneducated mind, it was money, but it was the freedom that the money gave that man.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I shoot for now. I don't care how much I earn, you know, I kind of set my goals accordingly to that, but money buys freedom, you know, and everyone wants to say, oh, money is the root of all evil. But let me tell you something. They pass out the offering plate at church every Sunday.
Sunday.
It's like you can say that money's bad, but money gives you time with your family. It lets you go on vacations. It lets you live the life that you're dreaming of on Instagram, you know.
Yes. Oh, you make some great points. And I'm just sitting here thinking about, you know, money. A lot of people that say that the money's the root of all evil are the people that don't have any, or just they're the guys looking for those get rich quick schemes. How can I make a lot of money fast? You know, and you know as well as I do, like when I started this, I obviously wanted money, but also it was the time freedom. So I wasn't married and didn't have any kids, but I knew someday I was going to have kids, and I wanted to set this business up so if it was a Tuesday, I could take my kids to the zoo if I wanted to. You know, and like you said, also having the business built up to where there's money flowing in, that money gives you those choices to do those things. You know, I think that regardless of how much money you have, more money just equals more choices, more freedom to do the things that you're passionate about. And, you know, I think if you're saving and you're giving and you're spending along the way, like it's all relative. You know, I spoke with a guy the other day that told me he had lost 50 grand out at Vegas. And he's like, but at the time that was only 2 weeks worth of pay for me. I'm like, so it's relative, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I look at life too of, you know, a lot of people say that money's the root of all evil. And like I said, they're still passing out the offering plates at church every Sunday. If it's really that bad, then why are you asking for it? You know, but I got to the point in life, it's like, what if I could give 100 grand to my church? You know, what changes and impacts could I make in my life? You know, that's one thing that, you know, my life's geared toward this year in our business. We want to start 2 non-for-profits and structured around kind of our business and what we're doing. And think of all the lives I can change with the money that I earn. So if money's bad, but yet I'm going to be able to change your life, was it really that evil?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's the actions we make with the money that makes it evil. You know, it's not the dollar bill, because I mean, at the end of the day, you can burn that thing and it's worthless.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And where our economy's going, that dollar is worthless anyway. You know, but. It's the actions that I take with that money and the freedom I'm setting up for my family and for others around me, and being able to give to the church, to charities, starting my own non-for-profit. You know, that's where it's at for me. I agree. Money's not a good thing, you know, and you can say, well, a rich man can't get into heaven. Well, let's really read what the scripture was talking about. That's not what it was saying, but
no.
You know, the only people I ever hear tell me that are the people that don't have money, you know?
Yeah. And they're the people that want it the most, you know, they're just,
I
don't want to say jealous or whatever kind of high horse they're on, but come on. God wants us to live. I don't believe God wants us to live in poverty either. You know, God wants us to flourish. He wants us to have the best of the best.
I always remember Les Brown, one of the motivational speeches he was saying one time was, money can't buy happiness, but everyone wants to find out for themselves. And it's so true. You know,
That's so
we
true.
all want to say it and say that, oh, money's bad. Well, it's because you're broke. You
Yeah.
know, I used to be like that too. I used to hate rich guys. I used to hate guys that were successful because I didn't have what they had. They had the life I wanted to live, and they had the freedom that money gave them. It's never about the dollar. It's about the freedom that money gives me. You know, when I first started my business, the reason it was failing because I was solely focused on making money. That's all.
Yep.
You know, I wanted the dollar. I wanted to get rich and go to Florida. It's not it. You know,
you realize there's a whole nother level of priorities you got to focus on before you can get there. But you know, you're on your way, man. That's awesome. Now, if you had to recommend one book, what would be your book of recommendation here?
That'd be tough. I've got, I'd say 3 good ones. I can't narrow it down to one. I'm a book guy. I like books, but
all right, that's good. I like books too. So let's hear them. I'm gonna write them down.
My number one would be Brian Tracy, No Excuses. That's a good book for everyone to kind of start with. It's, you know, it kind of changes that mindset. My second one would be probably Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold.
Yo.
That'll kind of help you with your marketing and your business and realizing we are all selling something, whether you like it or not. We're selling something.
Yep.
You know, and then Gary V's Crushing It. I really like that book.
What's it called? Crushing It?
Crushing It. Yeah. There's 2 versions to it. What's that?
So I haven't read that one yet.
It's a good one. There's 2 versions of it. Get the second updated, revised one. He's gone back and kind of changed some stuff in it. I mean, obviously, if you can read them both, but the second one he's got some good points in it.
Awesome. Now, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me on here. Now, also, let's get a plug for your business, because I don't even know that I'm 100% sure what this business consists of.
Well, we are portable building manufacturers, anything, you know, storage buildings. We do tiny homes for people, cabins for campgrounds. We do anything from just the basic shell to fully finished. You know, we can build on site. If a lot of the places we go in Chicago, you can't get in, so we've got to build them on site. We will manufacture them there right on the job site.
No kidding.
We also do pole barns too. Pole barns, garages, so anything kind of for storage. We're pretty well structured around storage.
That's awesome. And what's the company name called?
Complete Ranching Outsource.
Complete Ranching Outsource. Oh, we can put a plug in there too on the comments whenever we post this. But that's awesome, man. Ranching Outsource. Perfect. Well, any final words of wisdom for guys? You know, whenever you and I chatted about this first, you had mentioned just guys need to have a little bit of belief in themselves, a little bit more confidence. So, I mean, you're right on the money there. Give us some parting words of wisdom.
Like I said, my biggest thing is you can sit there, and I was just talking to one of my buddies the other day. He goes, man, I just want that life. He's still back at the construction job, still doing it. And I said, you know, a lot of those guys are laid off. I said, just try it. Try anything. You know, take the chance. You know, a lot of these construction guys get laid off in the winter. Dude, you can go to Walmart clearance aisle, pick out 15 of the things on the clearance aisle, sell them on eBay, make a profit off of them, and you've started a little business. Just try it. You know, and the big thing, like I said, is have your end goal in mind. Write your vision out. Write your ideal life. One thing I write in my journal every morning, I've got little 5 points I kind of go through. You know, where am I at now? Where do I want to be? And, you know, I mean, just get that structure of what's my vision. You know, most people don't know where to start because they don't have a clear vision on where they're going.
Yeah.
You know, if I hand you, or if I give you a piece of paper and says, go to, you know, 1225 in Kentucky, you know, without the GPS, it's no good. You know, You need a road map. You need something you can review every day. You need the routes. You need to know where road construction's at, and you got to build on it.
Dude, that's good stuff. I love how you're building that in your head, that vision, that dream, writing it out. You know, I was in the habit of writing my goals out every single day. I'd have a list of 10, 12 goals, but like you said, I would write them out every single day just to keep them clear,
Yeah.
See what the vision is, see where I want to be, what I want to do with my life. And yeah, but dude, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being part of this.
I appreciate it too, bud. Like I said, I hope someone, if one person just takes the leap and just tries it, then mission accomplished for me, because like I said, I was nothing, had no money. I didn't come from a rich family. I didn't have anything to go off of. I just did it.
Yep.
You just got to take the leap.
You just got to do it, man. Just try it.
That's right.
Well, Tyler, I appreciate it, and you're in structure. You, so if guys got any questions, they can reach out to you. I'll tag you in this post, and we'll just roll from there.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. You have a blessed day.
Hey, thanks, dude. You too.